Hey guys. Okay, this video is going to review probability as a fraction. I know we've recently talked about probability meaning the odds that something probably or might happen. So you have to look at, if what the odds are. Is it more likely like that will happen, less likely, equally likely, certain something will happen, or impossible? We now are getting into more of doing the same thing but also adding the fraction, like numerically, like what is the actual probability that something will happen. So you're going to get scenarios and you have to actually determine the probability of something, and you have to express it as a fraction. Two words that you need to know are favorable outcomes, meaning like if it's favorable, which one's probably going to happen, and probability means what is the likelihood of something happening. Okay, so we have this lovely spinner here, and it says express the likelihood of an outcome as a fraction. So we have a spinner, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It says the spinner has 6 equal parts. When the spinner is spun once, there are 6 possible outcomes. The likelihood on landing on any one of the 6 outcomes is equal. So the chance of getting any one of the numbers is 1 out of 6, or 1/6. So my chances of getting a 1 are 1 out of 6. My chances of rolling a 2, 1 out of 6. My chances of rolling a 3, 1 out of 6. Of rolling a 4, 1 out of 6. 5, 1 out of 6. And 6, 1 out of 6. Because there's 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total things. Okay? A favorable outcome is a result you're looking for. So if you're like playing a game like, ooh, I really hope I get a 5, your favorable outcome is to get a 5, but it's still only 1/6, which is less likely to happen because you have, look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other options it could land on. The likelihood or probability of getting a favorable outcome can be written as a fraction. Okay, so likelihood of getting any one of those numbers is 1 out of 6. If I wanted to say what's the likelihood of getting an even number, well, I could look at my even numbers, and I have 3 even numbers out of, remember that fraction line means out of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total. And then remember, I'm looking at it and I'm like, can I simplify this? Well, I know I can divide, thinking about my factors of 3 and factors of 6. 3 is a common factor, so my actual answer is I have a 1 in 2 chance, a 50-50 shot of getting an even number. Okay? If I move over, Joe wants to land on a number less than 4. So if you want to get a number less than 4, the favorable outcomes are 1, 2, and 3 because those would get you something less than 4. Since there are 3 favorable outcomes out of 6, I know that my fraction is 3/6, which I can simplify based on my prior knowledge of factors, that they share a common factor of 3, and 1/2, you have a probability of 1 out of 2. Possible probability of getting a number less than 4. Okay, now we have this spinner. This is out of 8. So automatically, I'm realizing my denominator of my fraction has changed because I have 8 chances of getting something. So each part is labeled 1 to 8. So I have 1/8 chance of getting each number because there's 1 out of 8 numbers. It says how many even numbers are there? Find the probability of landing on an even number when you spin the spinner once. All right, well, I'm going to circle my evens because this helps me keep a track. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 even numbers. So the probability of landing on an even number is 4 chances out of 8 total. And I'm looking at that. First of all, they're both even, so I know I can divide by 2. But I'm going to think of, is there any other factor that they both share greater than 2? Well, I know 4 can go into 4, and 4 can go into 8. So I'm going to divide that, and I get 1/2. Again, you have a 1 in 2 chance of getting one of those favorable outcomes. Okay. How many numbers are divisible by 3? Find the probability of landing on a number divisible by 3 when you spin the spinner once. So I'm going to go back to my original spinner right here, and I'm looking for anything that can be divided by 3. Well, I know 3 can be divided by 3, and 6 can be divided by 3, but nothing else can be divided by 3. So that's 2 out of my 8 options. So there are 2 numbers that are divisible by 3. They are 3 and 6. And so the probability of landing on a number divisible by 3 is, well, remember that picture, I had two numbers circled out of 8. And again, both even, and I know 2 can be divided by 2. So 1/4 would be my final fraction, okay? If I come here now, you're supposed to be thinking now, we're combining what we've learned about more likely, less likely with our fractions. So whenever I think of a fraction, you should be visualizing a number line in your brain. So on this number line, It says a Weather Channel forecasted stormy weather on the weekend of an outdoor carnival. The probability of stormy weather was 7/8. Okay? So you're trying to identify, well, if it's 7/8, is that certain is going to happen, less likely, more likely, equally likely? Well, if you're thinking of a number line, 0 out of 8 would be impossible because you have a 0 chances out of 8. And 8 out of 8 would be certain because we know that if I make 8 out of 8, I know that that's one whole thing. So it's certain that I will land on that. So then if I have a number line, first of all, to review number lines as a fraction, each of these tick marks, you look at the denominator equals 8. You can check that by hopping. This is 0/8. That would be 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, which up here they put the simplified fraction would be 1/2, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and then 8/8. Okay, so 7/8 is right here. It's almost certain, but not quite. So I'm going to assume that that is more likely that it's going to rain. Okay, so it's more likely. Now if we come here, we're going to find the probability as a fraction on the number line, and then we're going to say if it's certain, impossible, less likely, more likely, or equally likely. So first of all, my strategy is always to draw, because this is you showing your work and explaining that you understand the problem. A bag, there's my lovely bag, contains 2 red cubes, and I always put the letter R, 2 reds, 3 yellow, 1, 2, 3, yellow, 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 3 blue, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Find each probability below when you pick one cube. So first of all, I figure out my total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know that my denominator is going to be out of 8, and check in, my number line is out of 8. So remember, 0/8 is impossible. 8 out of 8 is certain. A half would be in the middle. That's equally likely. First, I'm going to read number 3. It says the probability of drawing a green cube. Ooh, I don't see any green cubes. So I'm going to assume that that would be here. That's my number, my green cubes. That's 0 out of 8 because I don't have any green cubes. That would be impossible because it's not possible for it to happen. Probability of drawing a yellow cube. Well, I have 3 yellows. 1, 2, 3. So I have 3 yellows out of 8 total things. So my fraction is 3/8. Now I'm thinking, can I simplify that? Well, the factors of 3 are 1 and 3. And the only number that shares 8 is 1, so it's not helpful because 3 can't go to 8. So 3/8. So here's 1/8, 2/8, 1/8, 0, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. So there is my 3/8. And so looking at the number line, it is not possible, but here's equally likely in the middle. So I'm going to say it's less likely because it's below that equally likely thing. So less. I just realized I didn't put a fraction here. 0 out of 8. Probability of drawing a red or yellow. Okay, so I have to count all my red or yellow. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means I have 5 favorable outcomes that I could get because I could get red or yellow out of 8 total things. And again, I'm thinking, can I simplify this? Well, the factors of 5 are 1 and 5, and I know 5 can't go to 8, so I can't simplify. And now I'm looking for 5/8. Well, here's 8/8, 7/8, 6/8, 5/8. 5/8 is past the equally likely, but it is not quite too certain, so I'm going to say that's more likely that will happen. The probability of drawing a red, yellow, or blue. Well, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 out of 8 because the only thing I have in my bag is those colors. So 8 out of 8, which I know is one whole bag. It's 1. So that is right here. So I know that's certain because I'm definitely going to get one of those favorable outcomes. Okay? All right, here is the probability again, and we're going to describe the likelihood. Jake played a dart game at a carnival and won first place. He was asked to pick his prize from a bag that contained the names of these prizes. So he has 4 caps, so I'm going to do C, 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 3 baseballs, baseball, 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 2 sneakers, 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 and a skateboard. Skateboard. Okay? What's the probability? Oh, before I start, I always count how many my holes are. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I know that total, I have 10 things. So my denominator for everything is going to be 10. Okay? So if I made a number line, this would be 10 out of 10. This would be 0 out of 10. And then I could do my dashes. 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Let me move this down. 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Okay? And I know these can be simplified. I'm just doing this just as a visual. And you can always do this as a strategy or to show your work on anything. A number line's a great way to show your work. Probability of getting a pair of sneakers. So I have 1 sneaker, 2 sneakers. Out of 10 possible outcomes, so I have 2 favorable out of 10. And then I know I can simplify this because these are both even. So I'm going to divide by 2. And I get 1/5. And I know that 2/10 is here. And 1/5 would be it's the same thing. They're equivalent fractions. So I know, 2/10, that's pretty close to impossible and not very close in the middle between equally likely. I'm going to say that this is less likely. Probability of getting a baseball. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3 baseballs out of 10 total things. Well, there's 2/10. Here's my 3/10. That still is less likely because it's less than the equally likely. And last, probability of getting a skateboard. Oh man, I only have 1 skateboard out of 10 things. That's not impossible, but definitely less likely because I only have 1 favorable outcome out of 10. Okay, probability of getting a cap or a pair of sneakers. A cap, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 caps plus 2 sneakers. So I have 6 favorable outcomes. That seems pretty good. Out of 10. And again, I can simplify. The only common factors between 6 and 10 are 2. So I'm going to divide by 2. And I get 3/5. So I'm thinking if I have 6/10, I'm going to put that on my number line. Ooh, here's equally likely. So that's going to be more likely because it's after equally likely. So that's more likely. 2 more. Probability of getting a baseball or a skateboard. Okay, baseball, I have 1, 2, 3 skateboards. I have 1. So that's 4/10. And again, I can simplify because I know that they're both even. And their greatest common factor is 2. Okay, so I have 4/10. That would be right here. And again, that's below the equally likely, so that's less likely that that's going to happen. And the probability of getting a football, I don't know. There's 0 footballs in that thing, so I have a 0 out of 10 chance, which I know if I have 0 chances, if I have 0 favorable outcomes, that is impossible. Okay? So as a review at the end, when you are finding probability, you're seeing what the likelihood of something happening is. You can write it as a fraction. The denominator is how many total things, and the numerator is your favorable outcome. Like how many options are you having that you would like to get. Remember that you should simplify, and when you're simplifying, you should try to think of the factors so that way you can simplify it as low as possible. And then visualize that number line in your head so you can determine if it is certain, impossible, equally likely, more likely, or less likely. Okay? Hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions.